I'm Adam Brower with Honor Flight Northeast Indiana. We're out here at the Bearfield Heritage Air Park, just outside of the 122nd Fighter Wing. We have a great opportunity right now to sit down with World War II veteran Harrison Hull. Mr. Hull was a staff sergeant in the United States Army Air Corps. That was right before the United States Air Force. So let's go ahead and talk to Mr. Hull. Mr. Hull, you were telling me a little bit earlier that November 11th, obviously Veterans Day, special day for you though in 1941, just before World War II started. Tell me why that day is special for you.
Well, I joined the United States Army Air Corps.
Yeah, on what was Veterans Day, or Decoration Day, I guess they called it then,
Well,
right?
I joined up and they sent us down to Indianapolis, and I was in Indianapolis on Veterans Day, and I actually was sworn in on November the 12th.
Okay. So, November 12th to December 6th, 1941, you start boot camp, or what was going on at that
Yes,
point?
I was sent to Keesler Field in Mississippi, and I was in boot camp.
Okay, and so you spent about 3 weeks or so then in boot camp, and the world, as we all knew it, changed on December 7th. So
Yes, it did.
what did that do for your boot camp schedule and the country leaning on you a little more than they maybe had planned?
Well, I can't say that I noticed the difference, because I was scheduled to go to New Orleans to a trade school to learn to be a mechanic, and that schedule went right off on time.
Right on schedule. So, and you were in the Air Corps? Or
Yes.
Right?
See, the Air Force, as it's known today, was not there then. It was the United States Army Air Force.
And so tell me, what were some of those early jobs that you had right at the beginning of World War II?
Well, I actually was sent from the school to the 61st Fighter Squadron, and we right away got the P47B, and we started flight training. So I actually crewed a P47 for a little over 3 years.
Wow, and that would have taken you to middle or towards the tail end of the war, right?
It would have taken me to the end of it.
Right at the end of the war, right?
Yeah.
So when that war ends, but you still had aviation in your blood, so to speak, right? What did you do after World War II?
Well, let me tell you that I had a lot of points at the end of the war, and that's how they would send them home. The higher points went home first. I was in flight number 1 that left our camp.
Really? Okay.
Yes, because I had volunteered and I had spent the full time, and that built me a lot more points than most of my buddies had.
That's right.
So the war ended September the 2nd. I was home and discharged by October the 2nd.
Really? Okay.
That's how fast they got me out.
That was pretty quick. They didn't want to pay you anymore, was that it? So tell me, did you, growing up as a kid, I remember seeing the ticker tape parade, black and white videos. Were you able to have a homecoming like that?
Well, I'm not really sure what you're asking me, but as a kid, I want to tell you that I once said, when they asked me what I wanted to be, I said I wanted to be an airplane driver, because I didn't know the word pilot.
Pilot, right?
And I might add that when I came back, I took up flying. And I'm a licensed pilot.
Yeah?
I flew for 13 years as a corporate pilot.
Okay. Was that right after the war, or was that later?
Yes.
Okay. So let me come back to another question, because I know a lot of people have kind of the misconception that when the war ends, our veterans come home and there's a crowd that's waiting for them to thank them. And so in October of 1944, when you came home, did you have a welcome home celebration, so to speak, or I'm sure your family was there waiting for you? Or?
I had exactly what I wanted. My sweetheart was waiting when I got off the bus.
Right.
Nobody else.
Nobody else.
Just her. So I married that girl.
There you go. That's right. And you told me earlier that you guys, you exchanged correspondence through the war, but you guys maybe started dating before the war started, right?
Yes, we dated before the war, and she wrote me letters for 4 years.
Yeah. So she was there to greet you. And one of the neat things about the Honor Flight program too is the homecoming celebration that we have, that a lot of veterans have told us that can be kind of a 60 or 70 year in the making, so to speak. Do you remember that homecoming celebration for you when you came home from your Honor Flight trip?
I couldn't have been more surprised that so many people had come out to welcome us home.
Yeah. Well, we've got a very, very generous, loving community.
Yes, you have.
And we're thankful. We're thankful to you. We're thankful to your generation. And sadly, as a society, we're a little bit tardy on some of the thanks that we should have given a long time ago, right? And but we thank you for letting us give you a phone call and bring you out to events like this to just kind of pick your brain a little bit. So, so you told me the war ended and you became a commercial licensed pilot, right?
Yes.
What was that? What was that like? You flew for corporations?
Yes. A corporate pilot, a company would have an airplane, they'd have a pilot and a co-pilot, and I'd have to say most of my time was co-pilot because I was learning.
Mm-hmm.
But I flew for Central Soya for a while, and I flew for Essex Wire for a while, and then I flew for North American Van Lines. And I've made multiple trips from Fort Wayne to the old lakefront airport in Chicago.
Very good. So we thank you very much for your time here this afternoon as well. Any other words that you'd like to tell us about with your Honor Flight trip? October 2012. I know you went October 2012. Would you be able to tell us a little bit about your day, what you remember from the day, and I guess some of your key points that you enjoyed?
Well, I think it was almost a day of surprises because I didn't know what to expect, and it all turned out so well that just to think back on it, oh, I'm so glad I went.
Have you had an opportunity to grab the shirt sleeve of some of your fellow veterans to say, hey, this is really something that you should sign up for?
I have. And a lot of them say, oh, I've seen Washington. I even lived there. I don't want to see any more of Washington. Well,
it's a different experience than just making a trip, a vacation
it's not
trip,
going to Washington. It's gone to a national memorial.
Right. And receiving
and they really did it up. It's big.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much bigger than you think it would be.
Right.
And it's so well done. It was thought through and
many acres, right? And so there's a reflecting pond there in the middle of the memorial that has fountains going. Usually when we're there, just based on the time of year, but there's a pillar for each state or territory at the time of World War II. But you told me about another very, very special place at the World War II Memorial that has some gold stars on it. Would you be able to tell me about those?
I stood in front of that, and when I contemplated on the fact that there's 4,000 of those beautiful golden stars, and that each one of them is for 100 people that gave their life in the conflict, I tell you what, it will move you emotionally. And I could write names on many of those stars you see.
Right.
That's why it moves me emotionally.
Right. It's amazing, and it's a grand memorial, and it should be for the 16 million Americans that served. But that wall is special too, to try and bring to life the fact that we lost 400,000 Americans during the war.
And I was one of the lucky ones. I was one of the 16 million that got to go home.
That's right. And we're so blessed for you. We're blessed for your service. We're thankful for who you are, and that you continue to be a good ambassador for our neighborhood here and our community. And
Thank you.
we just want to thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.